Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so two more players to talk about. Heinz Steinbach and Thomas Haugh. Got to get used to these names, man. I did a little homework on Steinbach yesterday. Obviously, those who follow me know I was not in a position to kind of do what I normally do, moving around a lot on a day like yesterday. But I did sit down and listen to some people talk about Steinbach. I was able to watch 20 minutes of his highlights, and what I took away from him is he's a nice power forward, can shoot the three a little bit. Definitely somebody that you look to toss the ball to in transition, can dunk the ball some in that regard. Good. I don't know if it's what I would call post moves, but interior shooting, interior scoring play. Good rebounder, very good rebounder. Kind of reminds me of a guy that I watched a lot in a previous era, David Lee. He reminds me a little of David Lee in some ways. I understand that someone compared him to Drew Gooden. I thought that was an interesting comparison as well. Defensively, he was sound. He wasn't like overly explosive defender, but he could stick to his man, bigger forwards and stuff like that. He could stick with him. Had some blocking success. I wouldn't say he's a rim protector per se, but he was able to use his body to create deflections and block shots in a way that was pretty impressive to me. And I like the overall motor of Steinbach, a high level player. I'm not sure about his playmaking. I must have missed some of that information, which would be very important to this conversation. But overall, Steinbach just seems to be a really nice, ready-to-go power forward that can really help your team, whether starting or coming off the bench. I think he could be a very, very productive double-double guy, 15 points, 10 boards if given 30 minutes or so. When he fully develops, 6'11" guy, so you can get away with playing him some center, I'd imagine. 220 pounds, good length. So I really like what I saw from Heinz Steinbach. He was a fun player to watch. Dunking the ball repeatedly. He's a pretty explosive guy. Good speed on him. He wasn't slow. A little heavy-footed, but overall pretty good. And he can control the ball some. And if you give him the ball, it's not like he's going to be struggling to push it. He can push the ball some and has pretty good handles for a guy his size. So I like Heinz Steinbach. I would not hesitate to take him in the late lottery, early teens, mid-teens. He's a good player, and I think he would fit in a lot of situations, especially teams that need some help with the power forward position, who need some consistent scoring and a sturdy player who can help a team be solid defensively. So I'm big on Steinbach, man. And this is what I said about this draft, looking at some of these other players like LeBaron Philon and Braden Burries and some of these dudes. I would take Steinbach over those guys, depending on my situation. Ball handling is really important, and if you don't have a ball handler, you certainly don't want to fill up your team full of Steinbachs. But what you do need is Steinbach on your team, especially if your guard situation is solidified. I wouldn't necessarily take a guard, wouldn't leave him on the board. So solid power forwards, 220, good size. Out of Washington, definitely somebody, 20 years old, a real solid player. As I look at him, he averaged in a block and a steal, 18 points in this previous season with Washington. So he's projected to go 13 in the mock draft that I'm looking at here to a Miami Heat team. I think that would be decent without thinking too much about the roster of the Heat. I think he would fit in a lot of situations and really boost your overall front court and give you some solidified scoring. And like I said, a very competent defender and a guy with a pretty good motor. So yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to take Steinbach. I think he's a sound talent in this draft and deserves to go somewhere in this top 15, 16 picks. I think he should definitely. You should feel really confident that taking him in that area is good for you. All right, and the next up is Thomas Haugh. Now, Thomas Haugh is somebody I'm extremely excited about, and it's funny because this morning I was struggling to motivate myself to do homework on him. I'm like, I don't know, I took a glance at the player. I'm like, okay, well, let's see what he can do. And there was a voice in my head that said, yo, this dude is good. It came to me as clear as day. It was a voice that just said, he's good. Don't even think like that with Thomas Haugh. And I'm like, I ain't never heard of this dude. Turns out after doing homework on him, there's a lot to like. Thomas Haugh is 6'9". He's a little older, 22, 215 pounds or so. Great length, high motor, high energy, winning player. He won the national championship with Florida last year, and stayed in school and had a really good season this year. This dude is awesome. When I say this dude is awesome, I love this player, bro. He's one of my top 6. I'll say top 6 because I love the top 3. I love the 4th player as well, Wilson. All those guys, the top 4 guys, I love them. I would be happy to have them, of course. And then you guys know I'm a big fan of a few other guys in this draft as well. As I look at their names, Keaton Wagler, huge on Keaton Wagler. Y'all know that. Big fan of Mikael Brown as well. But when you talk about who do I like Lindeborg as well. Big Lindeborg fan. Thomas Haugh is another one of them dudes in this draft. I'm like, yo, you throw him in that mix for me. You throw him in that mix for me, man. After we get past the top 4 players. Kingston Flemings is growing on me, by the way. I went back and revisited some of his stuff. After doing homework on other guards and then looking at him again, I'm higher on him than I have been before. So we'll update some thoughts on that later on. But like when you start talking about my favorite players in this draft, besides the top 4, Wilson, Boozer, Peterson, and DeBonsta, my favorite guys are Haugh, Mikael Brown, Keaton Wagler, and Lindeborg. Those are my favorite players in this draft that are not the top guys. I know a lot of people love Acuff. I'm a little iffy on Acuff. I know people like Kingston Flemings. I got to watch more Flemings, but he's growing on me. I like him a lot more than I did yesterday. And I still have more homework to do of the players behind these names. So I have no idea about Quintins and Mbamba and Braylon Mullins and Kareem Lopez. I don't know these people like that at all. I have to do homework on them to know where this draft really comes together for me all the way around. But when it comes to Thomas Haugh, I like him. He's in my top 6 players in this draft, the players that I would love to have on most teams that I would be in control of. Thomas Haugh is just a fantastic forward type player. He reminds me, I hear the comps that people are talking about. I heard a comp that said he was like a big version of Josh Hart. I don't really love that comp. I didn't like the comp, but I get where they're coming from in terms of energy. This guy probably reminds me a little more of Andrei Kirilenko. That's who he's built like. That's kind of how he plays. He doesn't have the ball handling ability of Kirilenko. He don't have the ceiling of Kirilenko. So I would say Andrei Kirilenko light is what I would say Thomas Haugh is. Defensively, he has all that Kirilenko stuff. The length and the energy and the motor, the explosiveness, the athleticism. Immediately when you watch his highlights, the first stuff they show you is his dunks. He's jumping out the gym. He is absolutely flying all over the place, and he's playing with a certain veracity and ferociousness that you don't find too often when players with his body type. He's got that quintessential body type, 7'1" wingspan, 6'9", skinny dude, wiry strength. And that's a rough estimate as it pertains to his length. I'm not really actually sure. It might be somewhere in there. Probably 7'1" wingspan. This is long arm dude. And he just plays with a certain energy that never turns off. He never actually turns off his energy button. He's like when I think about the banshees of this league, the players that have the energy that constantly play hard. I think about a Vanderbilt when he's at his best. I think about another player on my team as I look at my roster, because names always tend to bother me in these situations. But he plays like, what's his name? Jake LaRavia. He plays like Jake LaRavia, a better version of Jake LaRavia. More capable body than Jake LaRavia, but that type of energy, that banshee stuff that Jake has been doing for the Lakers, is exactly what I expect Haugh to do for you at a higher level. This is a monster, man. He is going to wreak havoc because he's good enough of a shooter and a good enough of an athlete on the offensive end to where he's a full-fledged two-way player. Now they say he's a jack of all trades, a master of none. But I think what he's the master of really is asserting himself consistently with a high motor and high energy. That is a skill that a lot of players don't have. And I think if you've mastered it, you don't necessarily have to be great at any specific thing because you're going to outwork other guys. And because of your length and your arms and your ability athletically, you're going to overcome players who may be more talented than you in a lot of situations. If he gets beat, his length and his energy is going to make it so that he blocks your shot from behind, just like they said about Brandon Ingram with the length when he first came into the league. He's kind of built like Brandon Ingram in that regard. Think of a guy like Tayshaun Prince back in the day. He's built like Tayshaun Prince, but moves twice as fast, doesn't shoot the corner shot as nearly as well as Tayshaun, doesn't have the ball handling as Tayshaun. But defensively, he can do some of those same things, and he's moving even faster. His motor's much higher. So it's like, when you talk about these high-energy motor people, I think about a guy by the name of Dennis Rodman back in the day whose motor never turned off. That type of energy, you really, really love to have that type of spirit inside of a player who's built like a quintessential wing of power forward, small forward combination, slender person with absolutely long arms. You put Josh Hart in Brandon Ingram's body and you got a guy like this. You know what I'm saying? Just a complete and utter Energizer bunny who's looking to excel on both sides of the floor, who's not going to be a floor spacing deficiency because he can shoot the three pretty solid. Not a great three-point shooter. I was listening to some criticism on his three-point shot. He brings it down a little bit, but ultimately he's fluid enough to where you better not leave him out there. Shoots well from the line from what I understand. And just an excellent overall helpful piece. He can play make some, he can rebound some, he's blocking shots, he's stealing the ball, he's scoring defensively, he can switch everything. He got it all, man. He got it all. And I'm telling you, there are players in this draft that are going to have greater roles than him. Obviously, the stars of this draft, you just set them aside. We know who they are. But once you start talking about trying to choose if you want to pick up a guy who's a guard or taking a Swiss Army knife like this, if your guard situation's already solidified, you're a damn fool for taking one of them guards over this dude. A damn fool. Damn fool. Thomas Haugh is not somebody that comes around very often, man. And I think this player would fit in a lot of situations. I would like to see him in a winning situation, though. I wouldn't like to see him in Chicago or Brooklyn where they're starting over and need stars. I would like to see him in a situation like Denver, like San Antonio, like Boston, like the Lakers. Teams, Denver is probably one of the best fits for him, in my opinion. Places where they could use his piece to help them get to a winning situation. Detroit would be phenomenal with this guy. I think he would look good in Miami as well. Oklahoma would love to have him. He would just soup them up even further. So, that's what comes to mind, man. Atlanta would be great with Thomas Haugh. All the teams that are pretty good. The Charlotte Hornets would be good with Thomas Haugh. So, yeah, man, this is one of my picks. I feel extremely confident in Thomas Haugh. If he's able to stay healthy, he's going to come into an NBA situation and immediately contribute and stay for a long time. You're not going to want to trade him. If he does have one thing that stood out that's not good, is he doesn't handle ball pressure well, which is kind of a deal breaker in some situations, especially if you have other players that have that problem. He's going to make up for it because he's going to steal the ball a lot. But if you throw your greatest defender at him and rush him, his ball handling is not advanced enough to hold on to the basketball. He tends to struggle when you throw somebody at him. So if you're trying to work him off of the floor, You just put a great defender on him and force him into being a dribbler. You're going to take the ball from him. He's going to have to work that out in order to be a fantastic pro. And if it becomes a problem, it's going to keep him from getting the minutes that ultimately you would want to give a guy like that. But if his handle ever gets to a point where he's competent enough to handle ball pressure well, good night. Good night. This is an Energizer Bunny with an NBA body that is meant to guard all the people. All the ones that you have trouble guarding at that wing spot. He is built to defend those people, and he gives them enough trouble on the other end to potentially put them in foul trouble. So, yeah, I'm a fan. I'm an absolute believer. Thomas Haugh is one of my very favorite players in this draft. He is somebody that I would trade up to get if I have an opportunity to, depending on my situation. And I really think he should be in a winning situation. He does not need to be going to a team that expects to tank for the next several years. He needs to be going to a team that wants to contend right now. And if he gets in that right spot and he provides energy, you're out of here. You're out of here. He can help you win for real. So that's what I got to say about Thomas Haugh, man. Last year, my favorite player in this draft, I think last year I was telling you guys that the player that made me go, oh, was Adu Thero, who ended up on my Lakers. I would say the player that's making me go, well, right now is Thomas Haugh in this draft. It's between him and it's just a few of them, though. But he's at the top of the damn list as a must-have player in this draft, in my opinion, outside of the top four. Yeah. Now, like I said, a lot of people like other players better than these guys. That's cool. But for me, Thomas Haugh is somebody I'm taking above a Phylon, above Burries, above Ament. And I'm taking him above all those people, man. That's not going to be difficult. Mikael Brown, Keaton Wagler, and Thomas Haugh are my picks for this draft thus far, man. Some of those other guys may be better than them. Obviously, the stars are stars. But for me and my taste in basketball players, give me Wagler, give me Brown, give me Haugh. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.